we're going to talk about the hyperbola. So a hyperbola is a set of all points in a plane that the absolute value of the difference of the distances from two fixed points called the foci is constant. So what's going to happen is we're going to end up with items that look like this. So they're going to kind of be used kind of facing opposite directions. So we have a left and right opening and an up and down opening. So when we're looking at this, we're going to look at our equations. If the x is positive, we open left and right. If the y is positive, we open up and down. So we have these formulas here. X minus h quantity squared over a squared minus y minus k quantity squared over b squared equals 1. So that's going to open left and right. And then I have y minus k squared over b squared minus x minus h quantity squared over a squared equals 1. So here, in both my cases, my center is hk. Now the center is not what we'd consider inside. It would be kind of like here and here. But it's a very important point when we start talking about graphing, okay? My vertices, so if I open left and right, what I'm going to do is I'm going to square root the a squared, and I'm going to go h plus or minus a comma k. Over here, I'm going to square root the b squared, and I'm going to go h comma k plus or minus b. Okay? And then for my foci. So my foci are going to be inside here. So those are my foci. And those are the points that I'm trying to find inside my hyperbola there. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to go h plus or minus c comma k. And the way I find c is c squared equals a squared plus b squared. And we're kind of using Pythagorean's theorem here. So a squared plus b squared. Up and down, we're going to go h equals k plus or minus c. So here I have one that's already written out for us. So we're going to find the center, we're going to find the vertices, we're going to find the foci, and we're going to graph it. Okay? So the first thing we're going to do is find the center. So my center is going to be what makes each of these zeros. So this is going to be 1 comma negative 2. There's my center. Okay? The center is primarily used to find my vertices, my foci, and then when I graph. So now my vertices, I look here, my x is positive, so I'm going to go, okay, well this becomes 1 plus or minus the square root of 4, which is 2 comma negative 2. So my vertices are going to be 3 comma negative 2 and negative 1 comma negative 2. There's my two vertices. Okay? Now my foci is I'm going to have to find here, so I go c squared equals 4 plus 9, or c squared equals 13, c equals the square root of 13. So I'm just going to add these together, and I'm going to square root it. So I'm going to add that here, so 1 plus or minus the square root of 13 comma negative 2. So notice here, my vertices and my foci, I'm adding to the same variable here, and it's which variable is positive here. Okay? Now, graphing. First thing we're going to do is plot my center. 1, negative 2. Okay? So if you remember back to the ellipse, we kind of went up and down. What we're going to do is now we're going to create a box. So we're going to go left and right, the square root of this. So we're going to go over 2, 1, 2. There's my side. 1, 2, there's my other side. So I'm going to create a box with these as being the one side. And then I'm going to go up 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. There's my other one. So I'm going to create a box. And when you create this box, one of the things that you're going to notice here is there's my vertices, right? So those are my vertices. Okay, so I had 3, negative 2, 3, negative 2, negative 1, negative 2. There's my vertices. Now, after you create your box, your rectangle there, what you're going to do is you're going to draw in the diagonals with dashed lines. And so what we're going to do is we're going to extend those diagonals out, and the diagonals should go through your center point. Okay? Now I already know my vertices, so I'm going to draw my hyperbola coming in to intersect at the vertice, and there's my graph of the hyperbola. Okay, so I created that rectangular box. You could find these asymptotes there. It's pretty straightforward. Now what we have is we have one where it's not in such a nice form. So what we're going to have to do is we're going to have to separate these out. Okay, so plus 24y minus x squared plus 4x equals negative 28. And now what we're going to have to do is we're going to have to actually complete the square. So I'm going to go 4, and I'm going to go y squared plus 6y minus x squared minus 4x equals negative 28. So now I'm going to go 4, and I'm going to go half of this. So y plus 3 quantity squared minus, I'm going to put my negative 28 over here. So now I have a 3 inside here. Well, 3 is going to be squared. 3 squared is 9. 9 times 4 is 36. So I have an implied 36 on this side. So I have to put a 36 on the other side. Okay. So now I'm going to go x minus 2 quantity squared. So here I have an implied 4, right? Negative 2 squared is 4. Times negative 1 is negative 4. So I have a negative 4 over here. All right. And so now when I simplify this, this gives me 4y plus 3 quantity squared minus x minus 2 quantity squared equals 4. Now, if you look back over here, we don't have it equal to a number. We have it equal to 1. So I have to divide everything by 4. Okay? And so now I end up with y plus 3 quantity squared minus x minus 2 quantity squared over 4 equals 1. I'm going to go ahead and write this over 1. So that way I just know that that's my denominator. Okay, it's just going to help me out when I find these. Okay, so now I'm going to find my center. Okay, so my center is, here is, I'm going to make this 2 comma negative 3. There's my center. Be careful, don't put it negative 3 comma 2 because y is coming first. Be careful, y is my second item here. So now my vertices, okay, so my y is positive, so I'm going to add and subtract the square root of 1 to it. So I'm going to go 2 comma negative 3 plus or minus 1. So that's going to give me 2 comma negative 4 and 2 comma negative 2. There's my vertices. All right. Now I'm going to look at my foci. And my foci is going to be 2, negative 3, plus or minus. Now I add these together. 1 plus 4 is 5, so the square root of 5. There's that. Now if I want to graph this, okay, so I'm going to start with my center, 2, negative 3. Okay, I look here, my up and down is 1, so I'm going to go up 1, down 1. I'm going to go right and left 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. So now I'm going to create my box. There's my box. I'm going to draw in my diagonals with dashed lines, and I'm opening up or down. So there is my hyperbola. So that's kind of a refresher on hyperbolas and how to find the centers, the vertices, and the foci.